Hi guys, welcome back to the stream. This is the second part of my modding tutorial. In this part, I want to go over some of the things I mentioned before and how I'm going to proceed with getting this into SnowRunner. And I also want to cover some key points that I want you guys to learn outside of modding for SnowRunner that might be helpful for you guys. All right, so on the last stream, I think I was going through just separating the various parts of the model and getting it game ready. And the part I was working on was the main body. So I'm gonna just go over some key parts here. Okay, so just to recap, I'm using Blender 2.9. There is a later version of Blender which I haven't got because I really didn't feel like the new features were necessary, and I was quite used to the interface on here, so I didn't want to change anything. But regardless of which version of Blender you have, you should still be able to get this done. So since our last stream, what I've done, I've added the screencast keys overlay over here, so you guys could see what I'm clicking on. It's an add-on for Blender. Okay, so yeah, just to recap, creating mods for SnowRunner in Blender, there are two things I'm thinking of whilst I'm working with the model. I'm thinking of getting it game ready for SnowRunner, and I'm also thinking of getting it texture ready for Substance Painter. So some of the things I do in this tutorial might not pertain to you if you're not going to use Substance Painter, but it will be necessary if you want to have proper textures in the model. So for instance, the UV mapping. UV mapping is basically where you turn your 3D shape into a two-dimensional image so that you can apply a texture over it. So if we go over to the UV editing tab, you can see over here our 2D image of, let me isolate one part of the body. So you could see our 2D image over here. It's just not working. So for this bit, if I go into edit mode and open it out, you could see how it's laid out flat over here. And I've placed a checkered texture over it to see how that would look. What I'm looking for is skewing or stretching. Another way to do that, to add a texture, is you go to, I believe it's, I think it's up here, object data properties. No, it's down here in material properties. You click on that little tab, it says base color, and then you add a texture. Once you create a texture, you can just apply it down here. But this is where you click to add your texture, and you can rename it. So I've added a checkered one. It comes built into Blender. And over here, you could see how, if I go to edit mode again, you could see how it's laid out. Now, if I have to grab a particular mesh and move it around, you will see how that affects the texture. So you could get an idea of how your textures are going to look. Now, another thing I've done is I have cut my model in, I've split my model down the center for UV mapping, and the reason for that is because the model is basically the same on either side. I'm getting a better use of the texture map because I'm sort of think of it like you've cut a square in half, and whatever you apply to one side, the square will apply to the other. So the way I did that is over to on the modifiers tab, I've applied a mirror. So this is how my mesh looks. I've cut it in half. If I have to bring the entire truck in, the body of the truck. Now this is not necessary. You don't really have to do this. This is just a technique I use to get better resolution on my textures. And if you're going to go professionally and create textures for assets for games, this is an efficient way of maximizing your texture quality. So this basically was UV mapped together. And the way I did that is in the UV editing tab, you click on the mesh, you go into edit mode, and you press U, and then you go to Smart UV Project, and then you just click OK, and then lazy. And then once you've done it for all the three, in my case, I've done it for the 3 pieces, and I want all of them to fit on the same UV map. So what I've done, then you highlight all of them together. You go back into edit mode. Make sure you press A for all, and then you can come up here on the UV tab and click on Average Island Scale and Pack Islands. And then that will pack everything neatly. Now, looking over here, this is technically half of the truck or half of the body, because that's the half of UV unmapped. But once you apply the mirror, the texture maps will still cover the other side of the other half of the truck, because the other half of the truck will still be overlaid over these pieces there, because it's just cut in the middle. Some other things you're going to lose is minor details, like the vehicle had a gas cover, the gas tank thingy over here. So I've lost that, but that's a minor detail, so it doesn't really matter. And yeah, so that's the body, and I showed you guys how this works, right? So you have to apply a material to it down here in the materials tab. So I've called this body, because I've split the body up into 3 pieces, I've called this body 3 matte. To add a material, you just click the plus tab, and then you double click, you change the name of it. That's it. So just to recap some of the things I did before, I've created 3 parts of the body. I've given each of them their own unique material. The reason why you give it a unique material is because this mesh is too big for SnowRunner. Actually, this mesh is probably too big for most games. It's really good to have a low poly count. This has 136,000 edges. That's way too many for a video game. This isn't a game ready model, you know, so that's the best I've got. So that's what I'm going to use, but you wouldn't really use this for a video game. You would get a low poly count model. But because that's what I've got, I've broken it into 3 parts. Now, if you name all of the parts the same material, when you load it up into SnowRunner is going to try to pull that material and load the whole thing up as one. And it won't work, because the polygon count for that particular material will be too much. So I've created 3 separate types of materials so that they can load them individually, or they can be loaded individually. And yes, I'm just looking at this right here on the side. I want to see what it looks like over here. I think it's that piece. Go to face mode, and I could rotate this. I'd prefer it like that though, but it doesn't really matter. Doesn't matter. The texture is not stretched. Okay, so just to recap again, I'm going to show you guys how I loaded this into SnowRunner. So in the mods folder, in the meshes, that's in the trucks. That's where you've got your FBX file and the associated XML file. So I'm going to open up the XML file, put it to a side, and I'm going to export the XML, the FBX again. So you highlight the FBX file, you go to File, Export, FBX, and I've got a preset, but basically you want to have amateur and mesh. Well, amateur when you're ready for your final export, but for now you could just go with mesh. Limit it to selected objects, so that means the ones you've selected in the background. And you want to have apply unit selected. Under geometry, you want to have apply modifier selected. That's again for your amateur. You don't want to have anything here in amateur. Here, selected. And on the, you don't want to have bake mesh, because this is for animations. You don't want to have any of that. So once you have that, you could save it and create a preset, and then you could load it up anytime you want. So I'm going to find the game folder. So my games, SnowRunner Media Mods, and that's a Forerunner. You go into Meshes, Trucks, and this is where you export your FBX. So export, and over here in the this is the, hang on, have I got it? I should have it open. Yeah, I'm in the wrong one, wrong mod. Toyota Forerunner. This is what I've exported it to, right? I did it to a Toyota Tacoma. Wrong one. Okay, that's gonna create some issues. Toyota Forerunner. Meshes Trucks. Let's double click on that. So it should come over here in the Meshes Trucks folder. So this is our FBX file, and this is our XML file. So in the XML file, I'm calling on the 3 materials that I want to load up. So I've got body mat 1, body mat 2, or body 2 mat, and body 3 mat. Okay. Now, if this was a normal game ready model, I would only have 1 material here, which is essential, and it's proper optimized for all platforms. Again, I'm going to stress that this is way too high. That's why I've separated it. I would normally mod a high polygon mod for myself privately. My computer can run it just fine, and I would search for low poly count models to create for SnowRunner. But in this case, this is the best I've got, so I'm going to go with it. So you load everything. You write the material code to load it up, and then we go over to the SnowRunner editor, And in the folder meshes trucks, you can see the XML file over here of our SnowRunner. We just double click on that and it's going to load it up. FBX root node has no children. Can't load meshes trucks. Okay, we have an issue. I don't know why it did that. It still loaded it. I don't know why it did that. Let me see if there's anything wrong in here. This looks good. It still loaded it anyway, just fine. And that looks like it's all there. So I don't know why it gave an error. Anyway. So moving on with the rest of the tutorial. This is going to be a quick one. I'm going to go about for 45 minutes and move on. So this is how I'm happy this is UV mapped and it's labeled properly and it's cut up properly. So what I'm going to do now is just turn off the meshes and move on to the next bit of the model that I want to work on. And I'm going to go back to layout mode as well. Okay. So I've done the body. So I'm going to work on the exterior. Sorry, the interior. Alt and H to bring everything in. And if you have like a model, a mesh selected and you want to work on it, just press slash on the number pad and it will isolate that, and press slash back to bring it back. Or you can press Shift and H to hide everything else and focus on that single piece. And Alt and H to unhide everything. I want the interior because there's a lot to cover in the interior. Yeah, I went over last one how to create a glass in the windshield, so I'm not gonna talk on that anymore. All right, so I'll leave all of this off for now. I don't need any of that stuff. We just want the interior. Also, I've got a mesh here of a coil. I need to model a coil for that. We don't need that right now. I'll do that in a future video. Okay. All right, so this is the interior. Okay, the interior, let me remove the materials from here. This is the pre-loaded materials it came with. To remove material, you just go into the material tab and you could see what material it has in there. You just hit the minus and get rid of it. Okay, so I'm just going to carry on removing material from everything. Make sure we don't have any materials in here. Hang on, let me stop my music. Okay. Just moving along and minusing all the materials from that so we can have that default gray image. And I'm going to talk about some other things I'm doing to optimize this model because, as I said, this is not a game ready model and you want to sort of make it the best you can to make it suitable for SnowRunner. This is the part that takes the longest for me when it comes to modding. Okay. All right, so let's see. Okay, so all right, I'm gonna go touch again on what I just mentioned for the body, right? There are when you have a mesh that is even on both sides, you can cut it in half to get better resolution in your textures. That again is for Substance Painter. It's not, you don't have to do it. So the way I'm gonna show you this to you, you don't really have to do it. You could just ignore the part where I'm cutting the model up and mirroring it, but everything else is necessary if you want to just get a simple model into SnowRunner. So the interior is very, very highly detailed. It's got 378,000 edges. This is the entire interior, I believe. Yes. And remember, that's way too high, right? I'm going to show you how I would get this in into SnowRunner. Okay, the best way to get it in. Okay. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to do is separate the bits that I would like to have isolated, and one of the things I like to always have isolated in the game is the gauges, because I like to work with them separately. This one has a mesh over the gauge, which I assume is the glass. So I've cut that out by just going to edit mode and you link. You can have the selected here, the deselector too. You can have the link type to normal, and you can just press L if you're in face select mode on your keyboard, and it will select the entire mesh, and you could separate it by pressing P, and then you select separate by material or separate by selection. So that is going to be a mesh where I'm going to give it a glass type, a glass material, and I'm going to do it right now. So I'm just going to type new in material, and I'm going to type gauges glass here. So I've given this its own material. Gauges glass here. Okay. Make sure I spell that correctly. All right, gauges glass. Now I'm gonna UV map this. So I'm gonna go into UV editing, and with the I should have it selected already. I'm just gonna press U, Smart UV project. I'm gonna leave the island margin. I'm gonna do at 0.03. That's basically how it separates the meshes over here. And I'm gonna press U, Smart UV project, and then OK. It's gonna lay out everything nicely here. Now this is OK. I can go to UV and hit average island, and that's OK. That's OK. I don't know what all these pieces are. Okay, there's some issues here we need to fix. There's overlays on the surfaces. You could see it here. So let me just isolate this and work with it on its own. I just press Shift and H. Now I could see some weird artifact happening over on the edge here, and this is a bit crazy. I'm gonna go into see which side of this, which way this polygon is facing. So I'm gonna click on the overlay tab here, and I'm gonna click to face orientation. And okay, so this is a solid polygon. This isn't ideal. We only want the blue side to face the driver. So I'm gonna go into edit mode, and I'm gonna click on this, and I'm gonna click UV. So I linked it and I hit UV, and I'm gonna press X and F to delete the faces. And all of this here could possibly be deleted as well. The edge faces. Yeah, the edge faces. I'm gonna go to vertex select mode and try get rid of some of those polygons over here, because I don't think they're necessary. I'm gonna come out of face orientation because we don't need that anymore. Let me close this over here. Okay, and I'm just gonna grab these faces here and X and F. Before I carry on deleting, I'm just gonna bring the interior of the truck back in and make sure the glass with the bits I'm deleting doesn't show. Okay, good. So I can come here and I can go to extra one. I can see them, and I can hit X and F. And I'm in face select mode, so it's only selecting the faces that you could see the little dots right here. It's only selecting the ones where I've I could actually ignore the ones here and go for those ones further out. Yeah, I think that's better. Yeah. So this is just going to be a quick stream. The bits I've covered for the body pretty much applies to what I'm going to be doing for the next couple of streams, except for a few things that I want to mention. So hopefully I will cover it in this video. And I will try to do the streams as regular as I can, and to sort of not leave too long between streams. Also, someone asked me if I could have the subtitles added. So I'll work on that as well. Alright. So I want to get these ones off and these ones off. I'm just holding shift and grabbing, putting like a bounding box around the faces, and then when I have a good amount, I'm just pressing X and F. X opens up that menu, and you could see F is underlined. That means you could F shortcut key would delete faces. And yeah, I think getting rid of those extra polygons is gonna be good. They're not needed, and they just make the UV mapping look weird as well, and the driver will never see it. There's a lot of things in this mesh model that the driver won't see, and it makes no sense to have it in the game. So that's primarily what I want to cover in this stream, to make basically optimizing the model to make it game ready. Because this model is just this model is probably designed for animation, probably to create an advert, or you could use it to create a video in Blender or something like that, but not to import into a video game. All right, so we're almost done. We are almost done. Just going all around and getting that fold off, that folded bits of the mesh. All right, so that should be that. Oh, we've got a few more left over here. All right, so we've come around. Okay, that should be a lot better right now. Yeah, that should be a lot better. Now, if we go into edit mode, or edit mode, we press A to select all, you could see what it's done over here. It unwrapped both sides. So now we could hit U, Smart UV project, and hit OK again. And now this looks a lot better. Okay, I don't know what these are. I'm gonna assume it's something. I'm just gonna delete that. X, I can't delete it here, but where is it over here? Oh, it's up there. Yes, X and F. And this is our two-dimensional unwrap of our model, our glass. I'm gonna hit average island scale, and there's a really nice way of doing this to make all the images, all the squares the same, but it's not really necessary. It's just glass. There's no details I'm gonna put on here, and you probably wouldn't notice it in the game. So that's done. So for my gauges, I'm gonna come out of go back to layout mode. So now that layer, that mesh is done. All right, I'm just gonna lock that away. It's done. It's got its material name. It's UV mapped, so I'm happy with it. Stuff I'm gonna consider for the game as well is obviously we don't want the logos in the model for console, so I'm gonna just separate that, which I've done over here. I've called it interior logo. I'm just gonna lock it for now. I'll keep it on a separate mesh that will only export to the PC version of the game, the PC version of the model. All right, so now what I did off camera, right, I separated certain parts inside of the vehicle the same way I did on the outside. So I wanted the seats to be isolated, so Shift and H. So I've got the seats here separated. There's another thing as well I want to have a look at, this bit right here. Okay, I can keep that with the seats. This is the the seat belt bit. Shift and H. Okay, I'm gonna now, the reason why I had this separated is because it is uniform on both sides. It's also high poly, and if I go into the modifiers tab, I'm going to show you what I'm going to do to this. Okay, I'm going to UV map this, and I'm going to make it optimized. I'm going to optimize it for the game. At the moment, it's okay at the 56,000 edges. It's quite a lot. This is like the back seats, the front seats, and the doors. I want to put some good material on here to make it look realistic. I'm probably going to put TRD logo on the seats as well, and so I want a lot of details on this, so I want to keep this mesh separate. I'm going to UV map this, and I'm going to optimize it. So here's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to press 3 on the keyboard to look at it from head on. I'm going to go to edit mode. In fact, I've actually done this already. So in the modifiers tab, you could see I've added a mirror. If I turn the mirror off, you could see where I deleted basically half of the mesh, and then I add the mirror, and then you want to turn on clipping, so it merges in the middle. If I go into X-ray mode, it merges here in the middle. It doesn't cross over. And that's what I've done. Now I'm gonna add this part of the seatbelt to it, and when I do the final mirror. And when I apply the mirror, I'm going to delete it and I'll show you why. But let me just bring this forward. GX. Okay. It looks a bit weird like that. I'm going to click on this and I'm going to press hold shift. I'm going to click on the seat and then press Control J. It's joined. It's going to appear here as well. I want this, because this is like the seat belt, I want this to be part of the mesh as well. I want it to be unwrapped together. But when I export this for SnowRunner, I'll just delete this extra seat belt here because it's a bit weird. It's not needed. So I'm going to press A. Sorry, I'm gonna go into UV editing mode. I don't believe I've done this one yet, but if not, I'll do it again. So I have actually done it already, but I'll do it again. So I go into UV editing mode. Oh, where's my mesh? I press A to select all. I'm gonna press U and Smart UV Project. Now over here, I'm gonna go on to UV tab and I'm gonna hit Average Island Scale. And I could hit Pack Island as well. And then I could change the margin so that they could, basically if I bring the margin, let me bring the margin really high up and you could see what happens. It separates the islands by that measurement you'd put in here. So 0.03 is what I normally use. Oh, 0.01 is actually not too bad. Yeah, 0.01. Now, the less polygons you have on your texture map, the better detail you're going to have on your model in game. This is why sometimes it's good to separate and create textures for as many parts as possible. But the downside of that is you're going to have your mod file is going to be larger because you're using more texture files. Each asset needs at least 3 maps. You're going to need your albedo map, you're going to need your shading map, and you might need a normal map. You might need an emissive map. So basically, you probably will definitely need 2. The one that carries the color and the one that carries the shine, whether it's metal or plastic or whatever. So you're going to need your shading map and your base color map for the least. So that means the more meshes you have its own textures for, the more of this you're going to need, and then the file is going to be bigger. But you do get better details. So it's always a give and take. You know, you're giving away space, but you're getting good resolution. Anyway, that's done. And over here in the materials properties, I've named it sits. I'm going to call it sits mats. I like to have it sits_material. So that's done. If I know, let me go back to layout mode. I'm going to show you now. So if I have the seat selected and the 3 parts of the body selected like that, and now I go to File, Export, FBX, and I come over here. I've got Mesh, Toyota 4Runner, Export. In the XML file now, I need to indicate that I've added a new material to this FBX file. Okay. Now going back, it just rinse and repeat. So you've seen what I just did. For the seats, our material over here, I call it seats mat. We literally you just copy 1 block of code, the material bit of the code, and you tell it what material you want to load. So I'm just going to copy and paste seats mat in here, and then you save it. It's that simple. You come over to the editor, you load it up. And now you have your model with the seats in there. It's literally that simple. You keep doing that until you have everything loaded in the SnowRunner editor, and that's, I would say, you're halfway there. This is getting the mesh into the game. If it can't be loaded in this editor, it means the polygon count is too high. Now remember, in Blender we had a mirror on our seats. We had a mirror on our body. The reason why you get in the whole mesh in the editor is because when we export in Blender, if I go to export again, FBX, over here on the geometry, we've checked apply modifiers. So all modifiers that you have active over here in Blender, like here we have our mirror, they will be applied on export. I like keeping my modifiers unapplied because if I change my mind about something, I haven't committed to it, but on export it does it. So that's just let you know what's happening under the hood. It's applying the modifier and then it's exporting it. This is why we can see the full thing here, but here, you know, if we turn the mirror off, you only see half. Okay. So basically, if you guys are modding any vehicle, you can go ahead and you can just separate. Now this works with everything: the interior, the exterior, the chassis. It doesn't. The game doesn't know what part it is. It just is up to you as a user that knows what you're doing. So I've got these bits done. I'm gonna lock this away and move on to something else. I've got the seats done. I'm gonna put like a number in front of this to let me know that I've done it. So I'm gonna put, for interior, I like using 6. So I'm gonna put 6. I like numbering things so it goes up to here and I know that's done, and then I can move forward. So that's done. The gauges glass is done. I'm gonna put 7 on that. I just name it for a prefix just for my sanity. Interior logo, yes, that would be for PC. And windshield is done. Okay, so these are the bits I need to focus on right now. These bits right here. This is the bits that's the hardest because there's loads of stuff on here that are just not necessary. And I will cover that. I'll show you guys what I'm doing to sort of mitigate the issues. So this is the tricky bit right here. Okay, this is the rest of the interior. Now, I always aim on my mods to have a really nice dashboard. Really nice. Hey, from Puerto Rico. I'm from the Caribbean as well. Hey man, what's up? I'm gonna put my country in here. Okay, so I really like having a nice dashboard. So one of the things I try to do in my mods, because when I play the game, I like to sit in a cab, right? A lot of players don't really bother with that, but I do. So I like to make sure that I have the dash isolated. So here I've got the dash separated. Now, how did I do that? I just went to the edit mode and I just click on the things that I just hovered above the bits I wanted. Now, if you're in face select mode, it will link all the faces. You can change it to normal and it will link more, okay? And then you just press P and you hit separate by selection. That's what I've done. So I don't really need to show it, but that's what I've done. So I've got the dash separated into 2 parts. I'm going to press Shift and H to isolate it. Together, there are 111,000 edges. Now that's too big, obviously. But on their own, they can be loaded individually. So this is really a bad way of loading a mod into a game because it's just not optimized, but we're just going to do it for brute force, okay? I'm going to add a material to this dashboard. Now, I haven't even mapped it yet. Now, the dashboard is a bit different. It's not a mirrored mesh, so I don't need to cut it in the middle and then apply a mirror. I'm just going to add a material here. So I'm going to create a new material for the dash part 1, and I'm just going to put dash part 1 mats, okay? Come down here and dash part 1 underscore mats. Why do I keep hitting the cap lock? And I'm gonna copy that and I'm gonna create a new material for this one, and it's gonna be 2. And I'm gonna go into the UV editing tab, and these 2 meshes can technically be unwrapped together. They can be unwrapped together, I believe. There's quite a lot going on here, though. There is a lot going on here. If I unwrap these together, I'm gonna try and wrap this together. So I'm gonna press. Basically, what I've done, I've highlighted both of them, and then go to edit mode. Press A to make sure I have everything selected, and then press U. Rinse and repeat, and then hit OK on the UV Smart UV project. My UV project actually. and this is how it's packed everything up. And you just want to have a look at this and make sure everything is good. Average island scales, and it just put everything else nicely. Now I'm gonna apply the texture map on here to see how it would look, to see if it would skew to see how it is done. Okay, so to do that, we go to the the object properties. No, sorry, not object properties. Texture, material, sorry. And over here in base color, we click on that little icon, and then we click on image texture, and we can create new, but I've done one already. So in the drop down tab, I've called it UV test texture, and it's applied it. And now I could look for stretching or skewing, and this looks pretty good. The steering wheel is a bit horrible. I don't like it. There's too many bits in here. I'm gonna try get the steering wheel to be done again. All of this bit is really good. This bit here. If I go into edit mode and highlight this bit, I could see how it's spread them all apart over here. If I click away and then link the steering wheel, it's like scattered all over the place. I would like the steering wheel to be like better than that, really close together. So I'm just gonna link around it. So this isn't necessary if you just want to brute force get a model into SnowRunner, right? But if you want to do it properly, and this is what you do. So I've highlighted this on its own, and I'm gonna UV map this on its own. And I think this is it. Yes. Yes, this is what it's done. Which is a bit crazy. Should I put a seam on this? I'm contemplating whether I should put a seam on this. Okay. What's this over here? Alright. Okay, impression for all. Average. And pack UV islands. Pack islands. So stick everything on there. I'm just gonna let this go. Yeah. Okay. Now you'll notice that on okay, so I've added material to this one. I've done both of them together though. I've unpacked them together. I've mapped them together. So for this one, if I highlight the second part of the dash, that's how it's put everything. I'm gonna apply the texture map to it now. So here you hit the base color, image texture, and then we just hit our text texture we just made. That's what it's gonna look. It should be okay, I reckon. It should be okay. If anything, I'll come back and edit this again. But I'm preparing this for not just for SnowRunner. I'm preparing it for Substance Painter. It was just for SnowRunner. It's good how it is. All right. Our dash is good. I could even revert to showing you guys how to get this into the game again, which I just did. So with our seats, which is where's our seats? Number 8, and now our dash. I'm gonna highlight everything, and again, just file, export, FBX, and now we just add the new material we just made. So we've got dash mat 1, dash pat 1 mat, and dash pat 2 mat, and we just add it in here. Twice. And this one. So one is 2 and one is 1. We save and we come over to the editor. It knows that we've made a change, so we just say yes, reload. And it's gonna reload the mesh. And can't find body 3 mats. Oh, did I not export the body 3? Did I export it? I probably didn't have it highlighted because I exported what was selected. So let me try this again. Export FBX. Okay. Come over here. Hit close. reload, and then open again. Okay, so it's now loaded everything in, and you could see we have our partial dash, or the paths that I've loaded in, and this is literally what I keep doing, right? If it doesn't load, I know that there is a problem, there is a mistake, it won't load into the game, and then I find out why. And once it gets to that point, it's good for SnowRunner. Okay, so I'm happy with that. Now let's go back to Blender. So now let's hide our dash. We're done. Let's hide this. Let's hide all of this. Okay, so the next part, so I've done the seats. Let's go back to layout mode. So the rest we need to do. Okay, the things I wanted to mention, I said earlier, is you wanna make your model game ready. Okay, and there's a lot of things in here that's unnecessary. So this is the mesh of the interior, and I noticed that if you look at between the body, bring the body back, and the interior, I'm gonna hide this. If you look here, you got all those like bits around the body of the truck on the inside between the door and the body. It's unnecessary, so you really can delete those things, and to save space. So just that those bits alone, like I don't know if it's like a rubber seal. The player in the game isn't gonna see that, right? But if you look at the amount of polygons this has, it's 8,000 edges. Sorry, 8,000 edges. That's 4,000 faces, and that you could get rid of that, and that would greatly improve the quality of your mod. So I'm just gonna go ahead and link this, and then hit X and F to delete it. And that's the X. That's parts from the interior. There are other bits as well. I think I had them selected already that I wanted to show. If I hit G here, is that making a hole in the model? Okay, so this bit might be necessary. But okay, so this bit might be necessary. So I'm gonna just merge this back to here. Okay, so let me hide this. We have 87,000, that's way too high. We have this bit in the roof. I'm gonna hide that for now. We have 61,000, so we're getting there, okay? Remember the limit is 60. So we wanna make sure we have a low count. What else is there? There's pedals. Like the pedals, like if you go into edit mode and look at that, that's 12,000 edges on pedals that you probably won't ever see. Okay, so in theory, what I would do is just remodel these. So I'm just gonna go into edit. I'm gonna isolate this. Hang on, I'm just gonna press Shift and H, and I'm gonna look at it from the side by pressing 1 on the keyboard, and I'm gonna just create the pedals over again, and it's gonna be a lot easier to do. It's just gonna make a nice interior. Yeah, definitely the interior is gonna be like top quality, I guarantee you. I'm gonna make the pedals because 12,000 polygons, 12,000 edges is just overkill for something you're probably not gonna see. And remember, the game has to load those, it has to render those edges. Not everyone at a supercomputer, that wouldn't be a problem. But for SnowRunner, especially like for Nintendo Switch, that will be a problem. So I'm gonna load a cube, create a cube, and I'm gonna scale it down. Oops. Undo. Shift and A, mesh, cube. Go into edit mode, press S, and then scale it down. Okay. Now I'm just gonna press G, bring the cube here, and I'm gonna scale it in the X-axis. Very simple pedal, literally very, very simple. I'm gonna press Control and 3 to look from the back, and I'm gonna press G to bring it here. I'm gonna press Alt and Z. You could see all the shortcuts over here, so I'm not gonna say the shortcuts, but you could see what I'm doing. Okay, so what I've just done is pretty much create a pedal, and let me just make it. I mean, you're not going to see this, right? You're not going to see my low detail pedal. You'll probably see it slightly, but you probably won't. Okay. Now, just that face, I've already reduced the polygon count by quite a lot. I'm gonna use the same mesh here. Looking at it from the back, I'm gonna go into edit mode. I'm gonna press A, Shift and D, click P and no, not P, G and Y, and I'm gonna just press S and Y, and I'm just gonna basically just move it about to make it GZ, to make it fit. It doesn't have to be perfect, but I do that on a lot of my mods to let me hide all of this stuff. I can hide that. Hang on. You can press H to hide stuff. And I can line from the side, go into extreme mode and just move this about. Okay, we're gonna mod this together. I'm gonna show you guys how I texture it as well, and I do all the code and everything. And I'm gonna model add-ons for it. So I'm gonna show that as well. And how I go about like getting the inspiration for creating add-ons and where I get that information from, because a lot of the add-ons I create for my mods I make them myself. I model add-ons myself. But it's you need to almost like create like a reference board, you know, something to give you the like stuff to look at to inspire you. Oh, wrong one. Come on. This one. I'm holding Alt, so I'm clicking the edge, and then I'm pressing, go inside view, I'm pressing E, click G, and I can extrude, and I can actually see through this where it's going, so I know it's going. I know what I'm doing. Oops, not that one. I want to grab this one. Okay. And if you look, it's in here. Now I can just come here, and I can just highlight that whole thing and press X and V. And it's gone. Okay, this one is just going to be easy as well. Okay, so I'm just going to grab this, Alt and H, grab this, Shift and D, G, Y. I'm going to rotate this in the X-axis by 180 degrees. So R, X, 180, enter. I'm going to just bring it here. I'm going to scale it in the Z-axis and press G and position it. And I'm gonna press 1 R, and I'm just gonna position it. Very simple, very easy. Doesn't have to be perfect, but these are some of the things that you have to consider when you're loading a mod in the game. If you want a feature in on the mesh, but the feature is too high of polygon count, you can either delete it or keep it. Now that was a very quick one to do. So I'm just gonna highlight this, X and V. And now I'm gonna come out to edit mode, click on this, Shift, click on that, Control J. We've now brought the pedals from, I think it was 12,000 or something ridiculous, down to 200. Now, if I bring the rest of the interior back, which ones were we looking at? Okay, like that. Okay. So off screen I went around and I started separating stuff. Now I'm going to touch on something else. So this bit right here, I didn't even export this yet. When I create my interior for my mods, I always like to have the textures on there, like the buttons, the dials, the numbers. This is my secret, right? I'm sharing my secret right now. This is how I do it. So the mesh that I would like to have those details on, I make sure I keep it separate, so I can work on them on their own. So these bits, I was looking at images of the Forerunner, and where can I find it? Whenever I mod, I download as many images as I can of that particular vehicle, okay, to look at for inspiration, as I said. So this is one of the images I was looking at, and I noticed that this is a different model, but some of the features are the same. like that, the hazard button up here. So I've cut that out from the mesh. I like the way the all of this stuff is on here. The buttons, the writing, those are still here. So you got the tune scroll, you got the seek, track. So you know, some of it is the same as I said, and you got all of these details here that's gonna be written around here. So I'm gonna go for all of that. You know, all of that. I need to find some of those stuff. I actually write it myself. So if I have to do that, I will show you guys how I do it. I do it with GIMP. So I've separated that bit. And also in this same mesh, if you notice, just stuff floating over here. That's from the steering wheel, because on the steering wheel itself, there will be oh yeah, I love that. I love that TRD on the. I'm gonna do that as well with a normal map. Why did it just go smaller? So if you notice on the steering wheel, there's a lot of details on here as well. So I've separated the bits on the steering wheel to include it with this mesh, the same way I showed you guys. Up here as well, I think there's like a clock on here. You could see there's a clock up here. So I've got this mesh in here because I'm going to use this mesh and create like a high resolution texture map for this. So that's why I've separated it. I've called it dashpad 0, which I haven't actually exported. I'm going to give it some material now, and I'll probably UV map it on its own. So I'm going to go to UV map, UV editing. Oh, and I've already done it. Okay. And then just bring this down. I've already done it. But yeah, I've already done it. Yeah, okay, I've already unwrapped it. I'm just again, so you Smart If project, hit OK. That's it. I'm happy with that. I'm happy, that's good. So that can get put away. And I'll create a nice resolution for that. I'll show you guys how I do it, as I said, in Substance Painter. The trickiest bit of this mod for me is the interior. I don't want to separate the interior into too many pieces. If I'm being lazy, I could just separate into 5 pieces, but each of those 5 pieces are going to need 2 texture maps. So that's 10 texture maps just for the interior, when I could not. In most mods I just use 1, but if I'm going for details, I want to use 2. Sorry, I want to use more. But the primary reason for getting rid of stuff is to make sure we are below that poly count, right? So because the interior is a mirror of itself on both sides, as you could see, I can now separate this and unwrap it, and I'm going to show you how. So this doesn't have any mirrors applied to it. I'm concerned that it will load. Actually, you know what, I'm going to find out now if this will load in SnowRunner. So I'm gonna, this is how I would test something. So I want to see if this would load. I'm gonna merge this to this. Okay, and this is 64,000 is quite a lot. Okay, I'm gonna merge this. I'm sorry, I'm gonna check to see if this will load in SnowRunner. So the reason why it's good to check is because in most game engines, I know Unreal Engine does that. I think Farming Simulator does that as well. I'm guessing SnowRunner does. When you load a polygon into a game engine, so this is a polygon here. This is a polygon. It's got 4 sides. The game engine then makes it into a 3-sided polygon, or trigon, I think it's called. The reason why is because that's the least amount of sides that a shape can have in a game engine. 3 sides, right? If it's 2 sides, it's not a shape. All right. An n-gon is a polygon with more than 4 sides. So if it has more than 4 sides, it's called an n-gon. If it's 4 sides, it's a polygon. But the games actually break them up. So when you load something that says it's got 29,000 faces, the game engine actually creates more faces. So if I say to you the limit is 29,000, you'll be like, oh, that's fine then, go ahead and load it. And it crashes and you're confused. It's because the game engine creates more faces. And the way it does it is like, if I right click on this face and I go on to triangulate face, that's the word it uses. It triangulates the faces and it turns it into that. So the entire model would look like this in SnowRunner. Okay? As you could see, we've now got 59,000 faces and that's what happens under the hood when you load a model into, when you load export a model. I know Unreal Engine does it. I know SnowRunner does. Farming Sim does it. I'm guessing SnowRunner does it as well. So this is why we need to always check. Okay. So I'm gonna load this up and see if it loads up. Fine. And the way I'm gonna do it is, I'm gonna first do what I do, where I cut the model in half, because I wanna create a good texture map for it. So let me just show the steps I did. So I pressed 3 to look at it from head on, because I know it's in the dead center. I click on it, I go to edit mode, and with it, while in X-ray mode, because X-ray mode can grab polygons at the back, I just create a bounding box, and I press X and F. And I can come in here and I can just create a box for everything left, hold shift, and then X and F. And that's cut in half. Now I'm gonna go over to the modifiers tab and add a mirror modifier. And I'm gonna make sure it's on the y-axis. And your modifiers will only work properly if your mesh is if you've applied scale and rotation. So shift and A, sorry, control A, and apply all transforms, and it will work properly. If you find that it's working weird. Okay. Oh, and now you see this artifact over here is because we haven't applied clipping. So if you haven't applied clipping, and I go into edit mode, if you grab a polygon and you try to move it, it does some weird stuff, okay? You just apply clipping. Another reason that could be happening is because there's other polygons in here that needs to... Oh, what's this? What is this? Let's get rid of that. Lots of stuff in here, lots of stuff going on here that we need to get rid of. Get rid of that. And what's going on here? Okay. I think there's probably polygons in here. So I'm going to press A and M and merge by distance. It merged 114 polygons because I think there's polygons that were so close together. Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, that was just messing about. Okay. All right. Now 60,000 edges. Wow, that's a lot. Let's see if this works. I'm gonna call this interior main 1, just 1. Yeah, just whatever. I'm gonna go down here to materials, new material, and I'm gonna give it that material. Okay. Now I'm gonna click on it. I'm gonna go to file, export FBX, and I'm going to export this. Now, because we haven't exported the rest of the meshes that we labeled, we're going to get some errors because it's going to say it can't find those other things. But remember, we just want to see if it's going to load our interior, so we don't need to worry about those errors that we're going to get. If this works, then I know for sure that I can go ahead with this and it will work in the game. I'm just going to put in interior main 1 matte and save it, Control S, and then come over to the editor, and it's gonna kick off errors like can't find body 1, body 2, seats, blah blah blah. But we just want the interior. Okay, so it's loaded the interior. Remember what I said. If it gets to that point and it loads it, then it's fine for the game. Okay, so we're happy. It's loaded it. So this bit is done. And it's UV unwrapped as well. Have we done that? No, we haven't. Okay, let's go ahead and UV unwrap this. So we go to, actually, you know what? I'm not going to even wrap it this now because I want more of the interior to be under one map. I don't want to create a new map for all of those. So the interior had a flaw as well. Where is it? We had a flaw, that's a dashpad. We had this bit and this bit. So we had the flaw bit here. So I'll just call this a different name. Let me isolate this and see how many polygons. 2,000 polygons. That means I could bring in other parts of the interior because we want to fill up those 2,000 edges. We want to bring this in. That's not going to be part of that. The seats are on their own. We've got these and these. The gauges are on their own. we've got the doors. Ooh, that's a lot. That's 63,000 now. We're hitting at. Okay, I'm gonna merge this to this. Okay, we're on 64,000. That is the border. I'm gonna see if there's anything in here that I could delete. That's won't be necessary. Let me go into face orientation. Just looking to see if anything that's unnecessary in this mesh that the player wouldn't notice, and I can get rid of it. Oh, those polygons are facing the wrong way. Just link that and press Shift and N to bring it back. Okay. I can't find anything here. We need to make the mirrors. I'm going to show you guys how to make mirrors. Mirrors are a separate mesh. So the mirror in the cab. I'll show you guys how to make that as well in a later video. And the mirrors outside the vehicle as well for the reflection to work properly. I can't think of stuff I could delete. 64,000 is quite a lot. That's on the border. What about those handles here? How much is that? That's just 1,000. That's not a lot. No, that's not even 1,000. That's 200. Okay. That's not a lot. Let me think. Maybe I could just keep this separate with something else. Yeah, what about the dashboard part? This bit was what? This is 23,000. I could possibly have this and this together. This and this together. Yeah. If I join that, Control J. How many polygons? This is 49,000 polygons. I reckon I could do this. This could work. I have a feeling this could work. So that would be one piece. Yeah, I reckon this could work. I'm gonna label this. So that's my dashboard 0. Let's call it part of the dashboard, but it might work. So this bit right here is 47,000. That's the other part of the interior. So the bit I named interior main 1, I will just name this one. I'll join that and name interior main 2. Okay, and I will take these two meshes and click both of them together and go to UV editing, and with both of them highlighted. What did I? Oh, there's something I could have done. It's a mirror as well. Yeah, this is a mirror, so I could make my texture better if I copy one side. I'm gonna have the pedals on the other side, but I'll delete it before I export it. Okay, so this could work for the. Oh no, but I can't, because the driver's door and the passenger door, they're different. Yeah, they're different. They've got different buttons on there. All right, I'll leave this. I'll leave this as it is. I'll just go ahead. So you click on you go into UV editing. You make sure you have both selected, and then you go into edit mode. You press A, Smart UV project selected, and then you hit OK. It's gonna put everything nicely. You can further then go ahead and make sure it averages everything nicely. If you want to separate them, you can hit Pack Island and set the margin. But I'm happy with that. You don't really need a lot of details on these. Maybe if you're driving in the cab, you turn over around, you look at that door, you might see some artifacts or some details, but it's really not that much of a big deal. You have to consider when you're playing the game, some of the things are going to be out of view of the driver, of the player. So that's that. Okay. Let's make sure we have materials labeled for that. So we have interior matte main 1 matte, and then we make sure we have new material for this one, not the same. Remember, not the same name, because the game is going to try to load it up at the same time and then cause issues because it's going to hit the limit. Okay, so what have we got left? This mod is literally almost all loaded. I could load the whole thing up possibly by the end of this tutorial. Okay, so we've got interior. Okay, we've got the dash. Did I do this? I did unwrap this one. Yes, no, I didn't. I need to do it again because I did it already, and I added a new part to it, so now it's got bits overlaid. So we just have to UV unwrap this again, and then hit average. That's it, nicely, and that looks. I'm happy with that. Okay, I need to bear in mind that the dashboard has, this part has its own material, and the others has shared material. Okay, that's fine. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. So 0, 1, 2. Okay. All right, we're getting there. Now we can actually see how far we've come. Let's bring in all the bits that we processed. Did I do this? No, I haven't done this bit yet with you guys. I haven't done any bits to do the chassis. Exterior lights, no, I haven't done that yet. I will leave out the glass. So we got the seats done in this tutorial. We have, and all the bits on the inside. Okay, so we've done quite a lot. What about this one? We've done this one, yeah. And interior main, we did those two. Yes, we have. Okay, so this is what we've done so far. Okay, so I'm gonna grab all of that. I'm gonna go to file, export FBX, and with that we've got all our settings already, so we just export that. Now let me just bring this up, make sure we have everything in there. Okay, so we have our body 1, 2, and 3. We have our interior seats here. We have our dash pad. Okay, we haven't got the, yeah, we have dash pad 1 and 2. Okay, we just need to add another one. I call it 0. This is how I name things, so it's easy to understand in here. Then we need interior main 1. And okay, we've got main 1, we just need main 2. So just create another material. Now, one thing I'm going to mention, interior bits don't need all these details, the code for interior parts, because it's going to apply snow and dirt to bits on the inside, okay? You just need the same code, just a stripped down version of it. Pretty much something like that. Let me just put that in here. And remove the, to remove comments is Shift Control K. And I don't know why it's crossing over. That's pretty much what you need. You don't need all that snow noise and all that stuff. You don't need that. Yeah. So yeah, I just want to bring this up to show you. The snow up intensity, you just need to set to 0. Okay, so all of this bit here, you get rid of it, and you get rid of all of that. And the bit that says snow up intensity, you leave it at 0.0. And that's all you need for your any bit that goes on the interior. So I'm just gonna copy it and paste it here up till shading map. So we can get rid of that. So you don't wanna you don't wanna have mud and snow forming on your bits that goes on the inside of your vehicle. Okay, and your seats as well. Okay, so yeah, that's what you need. You don't need all that code in there. You just need the snow up intensity to 0.0, and you can have your color map, your emissive map. Force snow underwater. True. No, we don't need that either. Do we? No, we don't need that. This force snow underwater, you can set it to false, or you can just get rid of it. If you guys are familiar with programming, it's called a boolean, so you can just set the boolean to false. But easier to just get rid of it. and save. And now let's go over here and see what we've got. Any errors? This is the first place to check. Okay, so we have interior main 1 of material mesh paths description and mesh what? Duplicate. Oh, we have duplicate in our XML code. Yes, we do. We have main 1 twice. Okay. Thank you. Come back here. Yep, we know. Is it going to load it? Oh no. So we close and we refresh and then we try to load again. Okay. And as you can see now, we have pretty much almost all of our mod is loading in now, which is really good with no issues. It means that the meshes are okay and the game is happy. Okay,